Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area, offers intriguing content for its viewers, and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. What do you think? Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
I'm Kendra Cook, and my co-hosts are Kelsey Kiesling, here Kelsey, and Jerry Tope will bring you the weather midway through the broadcast. Now here's the news for you for July 6, 2016. First off, in political news from the Durango Herald, Arn Menconi, the Green Party candidate for U.S. Senate, talked about the change he would like to see in Washington, D.C. on a visit to Durango on Sunday in the middle of the holiday weekend. Menconi, 57, told the group, "The thing that brought people here on a bright summer Sunday is moral integrity. Why are we doing what we're doing? There are 65 million people living in refugee camps, with most of them because of war. America's the superpower on the planet, and we're not even willing to bring in 10,000 we agreed to." 6 voters met with him at the Steaming Bean to discuss his platform and issues on their minds. Root Rutledge, who will be a delegate to the Democratic Party convention in Philadelphia at the end of this month, wanted to know where Menconi's positions fall compared with those of his preferred presidential candidate, Bernie Sanders. Menconi said, "I'm more progressive than Bernie Sanders on foreign policy. I don't think he's spoken against the drone program, which is an assassination program, and he hasn't said enough to release Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning, and I would not vote for the military budget in any form without an audit." Menconi served as an Eagle County Commissioner from 2000 to 2008 and founded SOS Outreach, which provides funding and activities for at-risk youth. Menconi has attended protests and demonstrations with Black Lives Matter, Code Pink, Women for Peace, and with anti-fracking groups. Gwynn Unger is the La Plata County campaign chairman for Amendment 69, Colorado Care, the single-payer health care initiative on November's ballot. Menconi said he supports the amendment. He goes on to say that the U.S. has a two-party system. We have the inside party and the outside party. I want to represent the 99% of people who are in the outside party. If people really want change, really want a revolution, I can bring that. Menconi for the Green Party will face incumbent Senator Michael Bennet, Democrat, challengers Darrell Glenn, Republican from El Paso County, and Lily Tang Williams of the Libertarian Party on this November's ballot.
According to the Durango Herald, after a jury last month could not decide on a verdict, prosecutors said Tuesday they will retry a Shiprock man accused of sexually assaulting his girlfriend 9 years ago at the Spanish Trails Inn and Suites. It will be the third trial for Harold Nakai, 43, who was convicted in 2008 of sexual assault and criminally negligent homicide, but was granted a new trial after an appeals court ruled certain statements he made to police should have been suppressed at trial. At the second trial, jurors were unable to reach a unanimous decision on the most serious charge, sexually assaulting a victim who was physically helpless, which carries a possible lifetime prison sentence. The 12-person jury convicted Nakai of criminally negligent homicide, which is punishable by up to 3 years in prison. Nakai declined Tuesday to waive his right to a speedy trial, meaning prosecutors have 90 days from June 24th to retry the case. District Judge Jeffrey Wilson set up a 2-week trial to begin September 19th. Nakai will remain in jail pending the outcome of his third trial.
From the MJBizDaily.com, they're reporting that the recreational marijuana price drop many in Colorado's industry have been predicting for over a year has occurred, at least at the wholesale level. The average price wholesale growers are asking retailers, edible producers, and others to pay for recreational marijuana has tumbled by a third since January. Blame it on a supply glut. Industry insiders aren't sure when the slide will end, suggesting that producers may be in for an extended period of low wholesale prices. Indoor growers with inefficient, dated equipment may be hit the hardest, according to industry watchers, because they won't be able to compete on price with more modern cultivators. According to data from the online wholesale marketplace Cannabase, the average monthly asking price per pound for recreational flower dropped to an average of $1,402 in June, down from $2,100 $1,106 in January. The lowest monthly asking price on the Denver-based site plunged even more to $750 last month from $1,800 in January. Jay Zarkowski, an industry consultant at Boulder-based Canna Advisors, said, "We all knew it was coming because more and more production capacity is coming online. Medical is hanging in there, but rec is finally starting to plummet, probably 30% in the last 4 or 5 months. Average retail marijuana prices, by contrast, appear to have declined only slightly this year in Colorado. That's good news for retail shops, particularly if they're able to capitalize on the low wholesale prices and pocket the difference." Meanwhile, the cannabis numbers point to relatively stable wholesale prices for medical marijuana. The average asking price for a pound of medical cannabis flower on the site was little changed at $1,850 in June versus $1,900 in January. Industry insiders said it will be more difficult for indoor growers with inefficient, old-school lighting setups that gobble electricity and result in higher costs. Any grower that is an indoor facility right now and isn't able to control the mite issue or the pesticide issue or powdery mildew and isn't able to put out a top product, they're not able to compete in price. But that doesn't mean a lot of growers will fail. They could retool or adjust in other ways to cut costs. Zarkowski said some folks are getting closer to 2 or 3 times the yield with newer lighting setups and modern growing techniques. That could make a difference when it comes to how much a company can get on the wholesale market and what makes a company viable. But as for whether wholesale recreational prices will stabilize anytime soon, that's an open question we'll have to answer after the fact.
According to the Durango Herald, a massive party of underage drinkers, mostly from Durango, resulted in a 14-year-old boy being flown to the hospital with an extreme alcohol overdose during Silverton's 4th of July celebration. In addition, 4 citations for underage drinking were issued. Quote, "I spent my whole entire day, 13 hours, dealing with Durango's kids being drunk," San Juan County Sheriff Bruce Conrad said of Monday's festival in Silverton. "The issue is, we've become Durango's nursery. A lot of parents think it's appropriate to allow their 11 to 19-year-old folks to come up here unattended." Silverton's town administrator Bill Gardner said there were a number of other issues as well, and the chaos may prompt a change in how the town conducts the annual event, which is renowned for its fireworks show. We have to change the culture of July 4th in Silverton," Gardner said. "Unfortunately, it's too much out of control. It's just not acceptable anymore." Conrad said over the past several years, a growing number of juveniles from Durango have gathered at a specific campground near the Christ of the Mines shrine to drink and use drugs, trashing the grounds in the process. This year, the group grew to about 160 kids, he said. Conrad said he made his first visit to the campsite around 1 p.m. Monday to warn the juveniles that drinking and drug use would not be tolerated. He said he returned at least 4 times, citing an underage drinker each time, including 3 juveniles from Durango and a 20-year-old from Hesperus. Each were held in police custody until they were picked up by a guardian. On Tuesday, Conrad walked to the now deserted campsite filled with trash, empty alcohol bottles, marijuana, and human feces. When emergency officials responded to the ailing 14-year-old boy, most underage drinkers fled, leaving their garbage and human waste behind. And tire tracks now scar the hillside of the Christ of the Mines shrine, which is off-limits to vehicle travel. The shrine, a 16-foot-tall statue of Jesus Christ that overlooks town, was erected in the 1950s to bless the town of Silverton. The town will hold an impromptu volunteer cleanup today, and anyone is welcome to join them.
The Durango Herald reported, while building the soil through regenerative farming, Gregory Hopkins is forging camaraderie with combat veterans. Hopkins and his partner, Edit Aquarian, founded the Veterans Homestead Project 2 years ago on a 265-acre farm near Breen, and he is working to connect veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injuries with new purpose and people. While it's not therapy, farming is therapeutic. Hopkins said the experience also prepares veterans to farm themselves and start similar projects so they can pass on skills they've learned. Hopkins served for 12 years in the U.S. Air Force as a pararescuer. He was deployed 5 times and made 400 jumps. He's been diagnosed with PTSD and works to initiate conversations about it because some veterans have not been taught about how traumatic experiences might affect them. Hopkins loved his time in the military, but he wants to teach younger veterans how to take care of themselves and their relationships. Thus far, a handful of people who have worked with Hopkins have gone on to pursue agriculture work. Joe Fuenzalida, a former Army Ranger who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and his wife Kelly were 2 of those people. They are now working on a hay farm that they find calm and peaceful. Hopkins' goal is to have a continuous flow of 3 to 4 people interning on the farm with him. Larger groups of interns would be tougher for Hopkins to manage, but he plans to offer more regular workshops on topics such as food preservation and regenerative agricultural techniques used on his farm. One of the challenges for the farm has been operational funding, and Hopkins and Aquarian are seeking larger donors and grants. Hopkins would like to see some of this money distributed as stipends to interns to cover some of the living expenses. To help the farm expand, Home Depot donated $15,000 in materials, including tools and a workshop and a tool shed. In June, about 40 veterans and Home Depot volunteers came out to help put up the new buildings. Army veteran Lynn Jack, 73, and several others who came to help know Hopkins through the social group meetings for combat veterans that he offers. He said, there ain't no good unless you do it. If you'd like to get involved, check out their Facebook page, Veterans Homestead Project.
According to the Durango Herald, wildlife officials euthanized a baby deer Saturday after someone who thought it was abandoned put the animal in their car and took it to the Humane Society, effectively signing its death sentence. Colorado Parks and Wildlife spokesman Joe Lewandowski said someone picked up a fawn in La Plata Canyon that was dropped, a term for when a mother hides its young and goes to forage. The individual, who Lewandowski said remains unknown, took the baby deer to the animal shelter in Durango. If anyone picks up a fawn, it's pretty much a death sentence for that animal, Lewandowski said. Fawns can't be rehabilitated. Lewandowski said the incident is just the latest and the worst-case scenario of people negligently interacting with wildlife. On Saturday, he said people were attempting to take selfies with a fawn near the Smiley building at 1309 East 3rd Avenue, and someone even picked up the animal. Fortunately, in that instance, Lewandowski said the spectators didn't move the fawn from its drop spot. Wildlife officers were able to clear the area, and eventually the fawn's mother came back. Lewandowski said wild animals are best left alone, and if someone has the urge to photograph it, take the photo and leave.
As you can see from this satellite radar image, the cloud cover is very thin over the southwestern region. Any real moisture is as far away from the Four Corners as it can be and still stay in the picture. The system you see to our north in Wyoming and Montana will stir winds in the northeast Utah and northwest Colorado areas. As fire fuels are at a critical state, the gusty winds and dry heat will keep red flag conditions in place there from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. and likely through the rest of the week. The reality is we are in almost the same condition, and the wind gust here today will get to 30 miles an hour. Wind for the Dolores County area is forecast at 15 to 20 this afternoon. We usually see wind gusts 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than the predictions, so 30 mile per hour gust predicted could be 40. For our high today, models show between 82 and 86 degrees, with NOAA being the lower one. I imagine they'll be closer to the actual. And wind will make for some slightly cooler temperatures as the moisture is drawn toward the mountains late today. The higher temp models are also showing less wind speed and consequent higher temperatures by a few almost meaningless degrees. I think it'll be more likely that wind speed will be at the higher end of those variously forecast and temperatures at the lower 82 degree mark. When the weather is this stable and boring, you just have to play with it some and play with the science for the heck of it, I guess. On the other hand, the good news is, if you don't like wind, is that today is the windiest and gustiest in the forecast for the week, and less is expected for the rest of the week. Unfortunately, winds for those to the north of us and under the red flag are not expected to improve for the week. As afternoon heat convection gathers, that slim bit of moisture In the mountainous areas that cause more turbulence, light showers and thunderstorms can be expected. Most will be in the northern mountains, but some should be in our view to the northeast. So evening cooling here should be enhanced slightly, and conditions aren't expected to change through the rest of the week. In the national weather, a series of cold fronts is expected to deliver below average temperatures to the northwest and north central U.S. from the Pacific Northwest to the northern plains. High temperatures, though, are expected to be several degrees below normal in that same region. For today and tomorrow, high temperatures are expected to be well into the 90s across the southern U.S. and above 100 for central and western Texas. Heat advisories have been posted for large sections of the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley. Temperatures are to be several degrees above normal across the northeast as well. Air quality alerts and/or heat advisories are posted for the major metropolitan areas. Showers and thunderstorms will be common from the central and eastern U.S., particularly from South Dakota and Nebraska and to the east-southeast across the mid-Mississippi Valley today. Damaging winds and hail and heavy rains are also a threat with these storms. On Thursday, the greater threat for severe storms and heavy rain is expected to shift further to the east into the upper Midwest. One minuscule change in the forecast is that all those 88s we saw for the week's highs yesterday disappeared inexplicably. But the reality is, with temps through the week all in the upper 80s, there's not any real difference. Nighttime lows from 49 to 54 degrees for the week may be a telltale as the 40-degree difference between highs and lows we have seen for several weeks is over. This decline in the differential usually begins in July and continues well into August. So nighttime lows should begin to climb for the lower valleys in the area like Dove Creek and Cortez pretty soon.
According to the Durango Herald, while the whereabouts of a shared blanket's missing taxidermic sheep remain unknown, a new stuffed animal is standing guard outside the art gallery on Main Avenue. Last week, after reading about the second theft of the wood-framed sheep, Al Harper, owner of the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, brought his neighbor a taxidermic black bear. I felt really bad, so I loaned her one of my black bears until her sheep comes home, Harper said. On June 28th, Frank said 2 men stole the sheep that usually sits perched outside the art gallery at 104 East 5th Street, in what she said felt like a dare. It was the second recent theft of the decorative object. A month earlier, the sheep was stolen and found the next day in the possession of 2 minors. Durango police were unable to prove the juveniles stole the sheep. Lieutenant Ray Shoops did not return calls for comment about the thefts. For now, however, Frank said the loner black bear will keep the sheep's place warm until it reappears.
We talked about the federalization of lands mostly in the western states on Talk Tuesday live yesterday. It seems this might be a good topic to have another call-in program in the future, as many more articles and issues are coming to the forefront. Today, from the Cortez Journal, they reported that earlier this year, members of the sportsman's group Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership sent letters to commissioners in Montezuma County, Colorado, strongly criticizing them for supporting the West-wide movement to transfer federal lands to states. Commissioner Larry Don Suckla said, "We got bombarded by emails." What did the county do then? It got help from the American Lands Council, an organization dedicated to the transfer of lands of which the county has recently become a member. The ALC unleashed its public relations machine, posting an article that called the Conservation Partnerships a green decoy that was helping to wage an environmentalist fear campaign on unsuspecting Colorado residents. It was a decent return for the county's $1,000 ALC membership fee, Suckla said. Nevertheless, Montezuma County has yet to re-up its membership this year, and several other western counties are re-evaluating whether to support the organization. It is now far more difficult than it used to be to find out whether a county is a member or not. The organization has donned a veil of secrecy, no longer lists its members on the website, and the Utah office wasn't authorized to provide any information. The ALC started offering memberships in 2012, ranging from $50 to $25,000 to counties, individuals, and businesses. Of ALC ALC's over $336,000 in total revenue for 2014, just over $259,000 came from memberships. Another $59,000 and change was from other donors, according to tax records. It's not clear how much of this is from the 50 or so member counties, nor how much is from supporters like Americans for Prosperity, a right-wing advocacy group funded by billionaires David and Charles Koch. 3 counties, Iron, Washington, and Kane in southwestern Utah, recently topped the list of counties, each with either gold at $10,000 or platinum at $25,000 memberships. As of late last year, Nevada and Utah appeared to have the strongest support for the ALC. 22 of Utah's 29 counties and 10 of Nevada's 16 supported the land transfer group. Nevada now has its own land transfer nonprofit, the Nevada Lands Council. It's headed by Elko County Commissioner Demar Dahl, who also co-founded the ALC. The group launched in March of this year and offers $1,000 memberships for local governments. Yet even in those stronghold states, some counties have reduced their contributions. Following the early 2016 arrests of Cliven and Eamon Bundy and others who faced off against federal agents in Nevada in 2014 and occupied a wildlife refuge in Oregon this year, opposition to the land transfer movement appears to be growing in some areas. At least 5 counties in Washington state have been paying members of the ALC in recent years, but at least one has let its membership expire. Blaine County, Idaho, and Pima and Coconino counties in Arizona have passed resolutions to oppose a federal land transfer. 9 counties in Colorado have passed similar resolutions: Park, Pitkin, Eagle, Boulder, La Plata, San Miguel, Ouray, Summit, and San Juan. Montezuma County's ALC membership lapsed a couple of months ago, and commissioners are still in the process of deciding whether to renew. 39% of Montezuma County is managed by the BLM, U.S. Forest Service, and the National Park Service. Sukla points to Phil's World, the regionally famous mountain bike hotspot, as an example, trying to double the size of the BLM trail system, which would attract even more bikers and be a boon to the local economy, has been difficult while the BLM is dragging its feet on making a decision. Sukla is one of many rural Westerners who are exasperated by what they see as mismanagement of public lands by out-of-touch bureaucracies. But even locals who want Phil's World expanded say that collaborating with the BLM, red tape and all, is best for their community. So since none of the states pushing for land transfers appears to have come up with a management plan for if they succeed, it's not clear what a post-transfer West would look like. But if the ALC's high-profile funders are any indication, it's likely it would be particularly mining and oil and gas friendly. An ongoing balancing of power over resources will no doubt continue.
According to the Cortez Journal, the nonprofit Pinhead Institute returns to the Cortez Cultural Center on July 6th for its Punk Science Learning Series, which aims to help kids learn about science, technology, engineering, and math and have fun doing it. Our Punk Science Talks are a popular program with families because the kids get to participate and get their hands on the actual science presented, said Sarah Holbrook, Executive Director of the Pinhead Institute, a nonprofit based in Telluride. On July 6th, John Straub, PhD, a professor of chemistry at Boston University, will help kids explore the properties of chemical elements through the use of experiments during a sometimes pyrotechnic presentation from 5:15 to 6 p.m. Pinheads plans a presentation on permafrost and climate change on July 20th. The Punk Science series of topics takes place at the Cortez Cultural Center Plaza from 5:15 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays through August 3rd. Admission is free. A child with perfect attendance at all programs will head home with a GoPro camera. More information at www.pinheadinstitute.org.
Reported by High Country News in the Cortez Journal, Marshall Mesayesva is an athletic 28-year-old who recently founded an outdoor education organization called Adventures for Hopi. Mesayesva and 2 other Adventures for Hopi guides are gearing up for summer by taking a wilderness medicine course in Durango, Colorado, a town where 5-year-olds cruise around on $400 mountain bikes and kayaking is as integral to the local culture as wine is to Napa. But Mesayesva, a 2014 graduate of Durango's Fort Lewis College, says that he and other Native Americans have felt largely left out of such activities. Though there aren't formal statistics on Native American participation in outdoor recreation, anecdotal evidence suggests it's low. When Mesayesva surveyed 40 Native American students in ultra-outdoorsy Durango, he discovered that 36 had never been camping. And according to Navajo River guide Nikki Cooley, Fewer than 3% of San Juan and Colorado River guides are Native American, even though those two rivers, both regarded as sacred, flow through several reservations. Part of the reason is that outdoor sports are marketed to white people. You rarely see a Native American dude hanging off a boulder in a Patagonia catalog, he said, and there's obviously a socioeconomic barrier too. You've got to have this nice jacket, these $60 trekking poles. It's marketed as you've got to have money to do this. Masayesva grew up herding sheep near the village of Bakavi on Arizona's Hopi reservation. He loved being outside and had no shortage of backcountry skills, but the first time he went backpacking as a college student with an Arizona Conservation Corps, he was humiliated. Everyone else had fancy packs and was eating quinoa. He showed up with an old backpack stuffed with ramen noodles, but he wasn't deterred. The ancestral Pueblans were amazing climbers, he says. Native Alaskans made some of the first kayaks. It's not that we can't do this. The backpacking trip inspired Masayeva to switch his major from environmental biology to adventure education, and with the help of an Anglo mentor named Jason Hotchkiss, he started a Native American outdoors club. After graduating, Masayeva returned to the reservation to start a nonprofit to get more Hopi kids outside and to train Hopi guides to take them out. Hotchkiss says providing Native Americans role models who can introduce Native American kids to the daunting white-dominated world of adventure sports fills a huge need. In fact, he was in the midst of starting something similar when his wife, who was Southern Ute, died in 2009, indefinitely grounding the project. With the exception of a Southwest Conservation Corps group called Ancestral Lands, which combines recreation with environmental service projects, there are few, if any, remaining projects in the Southwest that connect Native Americans with outdoor sports. Nikki Cooley ran a Native American river guide training, which certified some 50 raft guides to lead river trips through landscapes to which they have cultural ties, but that program fizzled out after she had children. Masayesva is picking up the reins. In 2015, Adventures for Hopi won a $10,000 grant from Keen Footwear, which he used to buy gear and train a few guides. He's running outdoor summer school programs now, facilitating parent-child climbing days and leading a week-long kayaking trip on Lake Powell. Students can participate for free in exchange for community service on the reservation. And after 2 years, Masayesva is finally writing himself his first paycheck, though his guides have been paid all along. Masayesva's programs are also including cultural components, biology lessons, and job skills training. His goals are lofty, not to just get kids outside, but to incorporate outdoor recreation into reservation culture, sparking economic development. For more information on this great project, go online to adventuresforhopi.org.
And now, the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of June 27th through July 3rd. A county resident requested assistance on a dispute between family members. An alarm company reported a burglar alarm from a county business. Upon arrival, the deputy found the alarm was accidentally set off by an employee. The sheriff's office received a report of a non-injury motor vehicle accident in Dunton. Deputies performed several welfare checks. A resident in the Fish Creek area reported seeing smoke. Durango Interagency was notified and a crew was dispatched to the area to investigate. A county resident reported theft of personal property. Deputies responded to a vehicle unlock at a county property. The sheriff's office received a report of a firearm discharge in town. A deputy contacted the offending party and it turned out to be firecrackers. The subject was warned. A resident on Bob Street reported speeding violations were occurring during the Pick and Hoe celebrations. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned this week for more updates.
In today's High Country happenings, next week, Monday through Friday, July 11th through the 15th, Sky Vision Camp Create runs from 9 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. at Toyac Education Building. Free for youths ages 8 to 15, lunch and snacks are provided. For details, call Chris Morales at 970-946-3024 or Blue Mesa Christine 99 at gmail.com. Sign up early to make sure you get a t-shirt. Montezuma Titans football 2016 season has registration dates of July 9th, 16th, and 23rd from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Cortez Rec Center. Summer camp runs July 11th through July 14th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. and it costs $40 and includes a t-shirt. Registration is at the YAFL field at Parque de Vida on Monday. For the registration packet, you'll need the registration form, code of conduct, physical accident waiver dated June 1st or later, birth certificate copy, and it says $115 with New Jersey or $95 using Old Jersey. Pads will not be issued until all items are complete. The Titan Summer Conditioning will run July 25th, 26th, and 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And apparently back-to-school sports physicals are available at the Southwest Medical Group walk-in clinic in Cortez. It's $35, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, or 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. No appointment is needed. The phone number is 970-564-1037. They ask you to plan ahead and bring any paperwork required by your student's school or sports program. All of the Happenings segment is posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the embedded YouTube replays of the news and the exclusive DCTV 5-day forecast. If you have an event, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119 and we'll be sure to get it on the air.
Thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
Share this with a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube and now featured on the Facebook page. Please like us there and spread the word. As we were off on Monday, we'll be bringing you a special Thursday edition of News at Noon, so be sure to watch tomorrow.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. We'll see you next time.